My 40M wife, 38F, only likes 2 of our kids. My wife and I have 5 kids. 4 boys and a girl. 617. For simplicity I'll call them Adam, Brian, Carol, David and Eric. Last week I was talking to Adam about his senior year plans. And he said something that made me reevaluate everything. I said it was bittersweet to watch him grow up because I'll miss him so much when he leaves. He said, "You will. Mom won't," very casually. Like it's a known fact. I said that was ridiculous. And he just said okay. So I spent a week watching my wife. Just quietly observing how she talks to our kids. I realized that Adam is right. She doesn't like him. She doesn't like Carol either. Adam and Carol are our 2 most social kids. They both have a lot of friends and do a lot of group activities. My wife and I have always been homebodies. And we prefer to stay home and read or enjoy a nice meal to going out. I noticed my wife continually makes comments about Adam and Carol, their friends and how they spend their time. Adam and Carol don't even respond. Which makes me think this has been going on for a while and I just never noticed. It's even worse with David. She just ignores him. And he completely ignores her. They don't talk at all. He spends all his free time in his room playing video games. I already knew he liked to spend a lot of time on his games. But he's always willing to talk to me about his games when I ask. Him and his mother though. Radio silence. In contrast, my wife talks to Brian all day. Takes great interest in everything he has to say and praises him constantly. Eric, while only 6, she is always cuddling and telling him how great he is. I don't know how I never noticed this before. I don't even know how to talk to her about this. Is there any way to raise the topic that doesn't sound like an accusation? TLDR. My wife is rude to 2 of our kids and ignores another one. I don't know how to talk to her about it. We all know you need to talk to your wife. But I would be sure to talk to your kids too. You're right. Adam is about to become an adult and leave the house. It obviously is awful feeling like your mom doesn't like you or treats you poorly. But it also sucks to feel like your dad doesn't notice or doesn't care that she does that. I know you didn't really notice how bad it was. But Adam probably feels like he finally mentioned this topic that's likely a huge deal to him. And got dismissed. I would try to carve out some time with him to let him say how he feels and feel heard. There's a lot of work to be done to repair the relationships between your wife and her kids. And the relationship with Adam and his mom may not have time to heal before he leaves home. It's important that he knows he does have a parent who cares and your relationship remains strong. Is there any way to raise the topic that doesn't sound like an accusation? You can't make a difficult conversation easy. That's why it's called a difficult conversation. If anything, try to find some time when it's absolutely just the 2 of you. All the kids are out of the house. Or just the 2 of you at dinner or something. Your wife's emotional abandonment of 3 of your children could result in physical abandonment. For both of you once they're old enough to leave the house if you continue to stay with her and enable this behavior. A direct conversation needs to had between you and your wife about her detachment from 3 of you children, followed by individual and joint family therapy sessions need to be had. But whatever you do, do not let her continue to subject your children to this harmful behavior. My best friend grew up in a house like this and she speaks to her parents maybe twice a year. And they know absolutely nothing about her day-to-day life. You sound like a caring father and I'd hate for this to happen to you. Sue, where were you for the past years? You just had an awakening and suddenly you see how terrible your wife is? Kinda Seuss man. The fact that you didn't notice reflects badly on your parenting too. And you're only noticing this now. After almost 2 decades? You're too late for the nice conversation part. It's gonna be tough. And your kids are older and have gone through this their entire childhood and a lot of their teen years. A lot of permanent damage has already been done. You need to tackle this issue head on and take a hard stand with your wife. And therapy. For everyone involved. The kids may have a good relationship with you now. But once they're parents themselves, they will ask you why you never did anything to stop this. And then, "I never noticed," is not going to cut it. You're already much too late taking action. Don't waste more time and confront your damn wife. So you're both homebodies, but you never realized your home was in shambles. You need to look at yourself too here. Why didn't you notice until now? Your kids are wondering the same thing. You need to talk to them and apologize for having your head up your butt and not paying attention to how your wife and their mom was treating them. Do it sooner than later. Growing up with unemotional parents can cause trauma later in life. It can even cause mental problems. A good first step might be couples counseling, where you can discuss this with a neutral third party. You still care about raising the topic to your wife in a way that doesn't sound like an accusation. Instead of prioritizing your kids, you're also responsible for the way your wife has treated these kids. You're an adult and never noticed that your wife is always criticizing 2 kids and not even speaking to another one? Which world are you inhabiting? She has traumatized 3 of your children and you care about approaching the subject in a way that doesn't sound like an accusation? You should absolutely accuse her of emotionally abandoning and mistreating her kids instead of appeasing her. You should also take a look at yourself and figure out why you're so negligent as not to notice something blatantly obvious in your home. Don't talk to your wife yet. Talk to your kids. They need to know that you are now aware, and they probably need to process this with you or a therapist. You need to be their support right now. Alright, first off, talk to your kids without your wife around and let them all know that you love them equally and unconditionally. Make sure you apologize to them for not noticing this sooner and try to figure out a way fix things between you and them while you still have a chance. As for your wife, you need to sit her down and talk about this. Because if it continues to go unchecked, then any future relationships with the kids will either be strained or non-existent. When you aren't the favorite kid, you know it, and that stuff stays with you for the rest of your life. It's one thing when the world rejects us or hurts us, but when it's a parent, it's a visceral pain. It sets us up for how we view ourselves from childhood on. I remember telling an aunt that my parents didn't love me. They only loved the youngest kid. I was oldest of 4 kids. My aunt said it was ridiculous and that my parents loved us all equally. As the years went by and she spent more time with the family, she saw it. She never admitted it to me till I was in my 40s and we were talking one night. But she saw it, too. This damage never goes away. Dude, what have you been doing that you haven't noticed? I would be taking each of the ignored kids out individually for lunch or whatever and start piecing together a timeline. Has she always acted like this? Did a dynamic change as some more kids came into the family or once they reached a certain age? Was there an incident she refused to move on from? Counseling. Get some. Now. I don't think a week is telling you anything. Even with what Adam said. Except during that month her relationship with 2 of the kids was easier. I think you should approach it as, wife. Adam said something that bothered me. He said you wouldn't miss him when he leaves. Why would he think that? Quote, I have seen a lot of my friends grow distant with kids leaving the nest. It's a useful self-protection mechanism. And it self-corrects usually. She may not know she is even doing it. Maybe she feels like they hate her. and is walking on eggshells. But if you tell her, "I've been watching you, and here is what I have determined. You are rude to 3 of our kids," I'd feel so attacked. You may get to the point where a frank discussion of your family dynamics is needed. But maybe she just needs you right now. If you missed all that, what else have you missed? I would ask the kids about their mother's behavior towards them first and see if your observations match the situation at hand, then proceed to ask them how they feel about it. After speaking to your kids, address this to your wife and in a manner where it was brought to your attention that there seems to be some favoritism involved without making it sound like an accusation. Are the 2 kids she favors the youngest? If yes, I would think it's very likely she won't like them either once they've grown into teenagers. I would be very concerned. I would start the conversation with questions instead of accusations. Do you feel you favor any of the kids? Do you think all of our children feel loved and supported unconditionally? She may surprise you with honesty and go from there. If she feigns innocence and ignorance, continue with more pointed questions and get to the bottom of what is going on.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.